right. Well, thank you for coming tonight. It's so great to see so many people interested in our great state of Idaho. Idaho relocation presentation, a better quality of life? Let's find out. So I'm Dave Edwards. I originally from Nebraska, so I know what cold winters are like. I lived in Vacaville for 20 years, retired from the police department back in 2013, and moved to Idaho. We knew that we didn't want to stay in California, and before my retirement came up, we actually explored. We went all the way to the far end of Tennessee and stopping every place in between, trying to find out where's the perfect place for us to live. And the stuff that we're going to be talking about are some of the things that we considered pretty heavily to make up our decision. Move to a better quality of life. Do you have a reason to move? How will life be different in Idaho? What's the whole moving process about? So these are some things that we're going to be talking about as we go forward. And who does this involve? Well, obviously it involves you. It involves you now, and it involves the future you in 5, 10, 20 years. Your family, also the future of your family, your generations to come. And unfortunately, friends and family, they can't make the move. So maybe you want to consider, do you really need to stay here for your family or something like that? It's just a whole bunch of things to throw into the mix. Do you have a compelling need to move? What is it that might make you want to move? Is it your quality of life? Is it maybe the political and moral environment that we find ourselves in today's California? Are you looking for maybe a better business or economic climate? Or are you just stinking done with California? That's how we were. Amen indeed. So the important thing, you're probably not ready to move today, well, except for that family in the back. Because they're under contract on their house up there. Yeah, you guys want to talk with them because they've gone through this process. The critical thing is to start your planning now. Figure out what your circumstances are. Do you have to wait for a couple years because of your job? Maybe you need to finish school. Maybe your kids need to finish school. Maybe a couple years till retirement. That's the boat that we are in. Or maybe you're trying to save up a little bit of money for savings to get what you want up there. But there is a cost to waiting. One of the big things that made us move when we did was the kids could plant roots here. And our daughter was just about ready to become a sophomore in high school. We knew that, if she's going to get her car, she's going to have her independence, she's going to start making friends here. It's going to be real hard to leave. And if we wait till she graduates high school here at Vanden, and then we move up there, she probably would stay here and we'd never, hardly ever see her. So it was critical to us to get out of here when we did so we could bring her with us. And it's made a huge difference in our lives and in hers, I'm positive. The chance to leave actually devolves. Maybe the economy keeps grinding down here. Maybe houses keep appreciating up there. And that difference, you just won't be able to make it. So, and then also housing and jobs change here and there, kind of like what we're just talking about. And also, if you're waiting, you might just be wasting time, and that's something you can never get back. I mean, there's so many people I talk with that said, gosh, I wish I would have done this 5 years ago. And I say the real sin in the whole thing is if you'd be saying that 5 years from now. So where can you move for a better quality of life? Well, here's what others are doing. And the red states are states that people are leaving from. The blue states are states people are moving to, and the gray ones are kind of like balanced out a little bit. Top inbound state is Idaho, followed by Arizona, if you've ever been there in the summer, South Carolina, Tennessee, and North Carolina. We'll talk about those if you've never heard of what humidity is about. Outbound states, Illinois, and then California comes shortly in at number 2. Does it matter where you move to? Idaho is a great choice for many. These are all the states that in 2018 where people came from. California being the whopping one at 21,000, but also Washington State, Nevada, Utah is huge, even foreign countries. So there's a lot of people going to Idaho, and there's probably a good reason for that. Maybe it's the quality of life. So here's some of the different categories that we'll be going over as we move forward. And there's some resources, and you have that on your resource handout sheet. But this really great relocation guide, just go here, you can get a PDF version of that. And it's on that handout sheet, so you don't have to write anything down. But it is really great. Also, part of this presentation, there's some snippets of interviews I've done with experts and with other Californians that have made the move. And you can find the whole interviews at this www.idahorelocationvideos.com. And once we're done with this presentation, you can also find this at that same website and share with your friends and family, the people that could maybe make it tonight. So where is the Treasure Valley? Well, here we are, Vacaville, and there we are, Boise. I actually live in Nampa, and we'll talk about that a little bit more. I made this down here yesterday in just a hair under 9 hours. It was, easy going. And when I got down here to Sacramento, I saw so many California license plates, so I thought I was still in Boise. Yeah, just a little humor there. It's almost that bad. Something that's going to be important later, but I had space on this page. So this is a topographical map of Idaho, and you can see we have all these mountains, and then we have this great valley area right here. These mountains really protect us from this strong Canadian blast that anybody from the Midwest knows about. And so that's why we have very mild winters. You can see all these rivers that we have through here. I think we have something like 17 dams in our system that provides us water. We have an abundance of water. And many of those are hydroelectric dams, so we have some of the lowest, if not the lowest electric rates in the entire country. Oh, one more thing too is that as you come this way, you start to get that Canadian blast. So even as Twin Falls through here, it's a huge difference in what winter's all about. And here is the Treasure Valley. So we have Boise over at that end, and it moves over to about here, and this is the county line. So this is Ada County, which is Boise, Meridian, Eagle, Star, and this side is Canyon County. And those distinctions will be coming up after a bit. And then you can get way out here in the country, but this is mainly what they consider the Treasure Valley right there. Education. Some important things about education. If you're getting older like me and you still want to be, engaged, keep your brain sharp, you can go to Boise State when you become 60 and take regular classes. You're not just auditing the class, you're taking regular classes for $5 a credit. And it's other institutions as well, but I know Boise State does. So you can go back, get your bachelor's, your master's, hang out with all these younger people, stay vibrant, stay out there in the community. It's just a great option. If you have, maybe you've got some kids and you're saying, well, I'm not sure about the cost of out-of-state tuition. Well, there's this thing called WUI, which is an agreement between several of the western states to, for instance, you can bring your California kid to Idaho that first year and get a rate that's much lower than an out-of-state rate. And of course, in the following year, you're in-state because you live there long enough. And then as far as the more elementary school age, we have a testimonial. And today I'm asking people about their experiences with the school system down in California versus what we have up in here in Idaho.
Yeah, it's been a really good positive experience for us. Being in San Diego, where we were, the school that was kind of local to us wasn't rated very highly, and there was a lot of problems with it. My kids, so because of that, I had to drive my kids farther into town to go to a charter school that we went there. Wonderful school, loved it. And so because of what it took to get them into that school, it made me very nervous to kind of figure out what I was going to have to do here to get them into a good school here.
California, I didn't really like high school because everybody was loud, and I didn't really like my teacher because she didn't have time for me. Oh. But now here at the school I'm going to right now, it's much more easier, engaging, fun.
They have time for you?
Yep.
And the teacher actually, he probably knows your name, talks with you?
Yep. Oh, he's had a couple of lunches with him just to get to know him.
The teacher?
Yeah.
Actually, he said, he called you up and said, They have a
No,
lunch?
he says, hey, Brendan, want to have lunch together on Monday and bring a friend?
I see.
Yeah, right. So they'll just get to know each other, and he's
And,
just learning about what he liked to play and stuff.
Oh, that is
Like
so
FNAF.
cool.
So the teacher, the staff, everybody there when I would go and pick them up were fantastic. Just really, really awesome. They did a lot of programs. They do a lot of stuff for the community, which was great. And my fears were really, I mean, they dissipated once I was able to really meet the teachers that were there.
Okay.
Really, really great teachers. Really great school. My daughter was going to a middle school, the same thing. We went in to register, and people were really, it just seems like you can connect with these people at a great level, which was awesome for me.
Great.
So the opportunity that I got to volunteer at this school here in Idaho, what I've noticed is there is a lot more friendlier people, and they're excited to be at work. They're excited, and the kids see it and the kids feel it, and you can see the change in children and just how they behave at school when they have caring adults that love their jobs and pay attention to them and give them, you know, the attention that they need. And the teacher that he has is, and I've told him he is amazing, that he will take the time to get to know his new students. He will learn new methods on how to deal with kids that have ADHD or other learning abilities, and he just takes that time. He knows how to make things fun so that he engages that child and what they're doing. And my son has never learned more in the past 5 years than he has in this past month at this new school.
Wow. So this has got to be some private, expensive school that you're sending your son to?
Oh no, it's public.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I even love it too, but
He's so excited. He begs me to take him to school like in the morning after he's 8. Let's go.
He wants to go to school early.
Yeah.
He wants to go to school early.
yeah, because I really love my school.
In California, it was never like that. And I worked with every single teacher every year. And my son had so many issues and so many problems with getting his work done and stuff like that. But at this school, he gets his work done every single day. And he's telling me so much that he has learned. And I am just so proud of him. And I am so happy that this move was beneficial for my son, because he really needed it.
Wow. And we hear that all the time. Economic activities, using my California education there, sorry. We can talk about population growth, jobs, and cost of living for our area. So population growth since 2010, for the last eight years of this survey, it's gone up about 1%. But then it's not just Idaho that's growing. I mean, we saw those other people leaving from all those other states and going other places. Idaho is just one of those places that people are going to. I think it's probably the best choice, but and here's some information I found very interesting from the U.S. Census Department. So what I've got here is Sacramento County and then Canyon County and Ada County. Because remember, those two counties up there in the Treasure Valley kind of make the one metro area. The number of people in Sacramento County, and I just picked Sacramento because it's like comparable, I guess. It's the capital, and Boise is the capital. 15,400,000 people. And then over in the Treasure Valley, essentially we have a little under 700,000. So we got, in our valley, we have half the people that there are in just Sacramento County. Population per square mile. In Sacramento County, it's almost 1,500 people per square mile in the county. Canyon County, 321 per square mile. Ada County, 372. So it's like, you know, one-fifth about the how compressed we are in that area. So when you're driving through, you know, Sacramento and it just feels like everybody's on top of you, well, it is because there's everybody on top of you. And when you're up here in the Treasure Valley, you just have more room to spread out, and you just feel that too. And yeah, we do have traffic, And so I was comparing the traffic on Interstate 84, which goes from Boise over to Nampa, and it was really just about like the traffic that I encountered yesterday between Dixon and Vacaville. We have that many lanes, that much traffic. You know, if some idiot has a wreck, traffic backs up, and it's just about like that. And you don't ever hear anybody complaining about the traffic between Dixon and Vacaville. So, but that's all we have to complain about up there, and I guess that's okay. Yeah, but you can move to Idaho, but the jobs, you know, they don't pay anything, right? Well, Sacramento County, the median household income, $60,000. Ada County, median household income, $60,000. To me, that looks suspiciously about the same. Canyon County, which has been traditionally more of a rural, agricultural base, obviously the wages are a little bit low, but that is changing. And thanks to California, because recently you guys sent us a price pump out of Sonoma, Gale Manufacturing out of Woodland, and I'm sure there's a lot more that I can't remember right off. But keep sending those jobs up there. We appreciate it, and that'll help get our wages up. One last thing, too, is that, in Sacramento, in California as a whole, it's about 55% owner-occupied housing, and up in our area, it's closer to 2/3 of the homes are owner-occupied. So maybe have a little bit more pride of ownership is why it's another reason why it feels different up there. Median value of the houses, and this is outdated. And anything that even happened last week in real estate up in Idaho is outdated, but it does show us, apples to apples comparison. 299.9, 300,000 for Sacramento, and less than half of that for Canyon County, and then 219 for Ada County. So that just everyone's saying, oh, the houses are just so expensive up there. I missed my chance. No, not really, because these prices are like, I said I'm from Nebraska. There's little tiny podunk towns in Nebraska that houses are going for $300,000-$400,000. That it's like, why? So you can go to Idaho and find houses that same price, and people complain, oh, it's like so expensive. But they're really not when you compare it to everything else that's going on in the world. Cost of living. So this is Boise in this chart, and that's Sacramento in that chart. And 100 is the baseline for the entire country. So we're essentially, other than housing, below the average. But compare us to, say, Sacramento, and Sacramento only beats us out in the category of health, and only by a tiny little bit. Everything else, we are substantially less than Sacramento. So if you're living in Sacramento County, your cost of living is much higher, and you would almost like be getting a pay raise if you moved to Boise, but you're making the same amount of money, so you're actually putting more money in your pocket, you're having less stress. To me, it's just a win-win. This is a cost of living thermal type map. So you guys know about there's lies, damn lies, and statistics, right? Well, you want to be careful with these people who put these things together because, for instance, the highest cost of living, this is the 130 mark. It's in the dark purple. But over here, the 130 mark is like way down here, and it's 190 up there. So our off-the-chart, way expensive is just about normal over in the Sacramento area. But I guess one thing I wanted to point out about this is that it is more expensive in Boise. As you get further out from Boise, coming across the valley to the west, things just get cheaper. Houses in Boise, you could get the same exact house over in Nampa or Caldwell for about $100,000 less. And that's still true for today, although that is changing because people have found out that this is such a great value over here. What about employment? Is there any work to do up there? Again, keep your eye on the statistics. We got 10% on this scale. And so right now we're about, 2.5% of unemployment. I think economists say 4 or 5% is what they can normally consider full employment. And we're about half that. And Sacramento, to compare, it's either 15. That last chart was only 10. So they're at about 5%. So they have about twice the unemployment in Sacramento than they do in Boise. So I think Boise's winning out on that one. Just a quick overview of some of the things that we do have going on up there. You can see the 2017 average number of employment. Agriculture, construction is huge and getting huger. Manufacturing, we do have regular industrial jobs. Trade, transportation, and utilities is huge. Professional businesses like real estate agents. Health and health services is the big one over there at 69,000 jobs. So we have a wide range of things. It's not just driving a John Deere around. No, exactly. Especially if it's got air conditioning. Some of our large employers for our high tech, we got Micron and Hewlett Packard. You might have heard of some of those. Health is St. Luke's and St. Al's. They're huge medical systems throughout the entire Treasure Valley. And Albertsons, Winco, a couple more that you might have heard of. And then we got some more over here. But anyway, so we have some big names up there, big employers, and we also have tons and tons of smaller employers. One of the things that caught our attention when we first moved up there was that there's mom and pop shops all over the place. And I used to be a co-owner in a mom and pop shop. It was my folks. And in California, and it was very, very difficult. And it got so difficult we couldn't do it anymore. But to go up here and see people, they open up a little restaurant. Food trucks are a huge thing. Little craft stores or whatever. It's just like kind of, I don't know, it makes you happy to be up there that there's such an environment that people can go out and, give their dreams a shot. Crime. Let's see. Again, we have these statistic things, this chart. So we're at 400 on this chart. So the line on the right is the U.S. average, and the one on the left is Boise. So you can see we're a little bit under the U.S. average. We come in at about 200. And Sacramento, this is 750. Remember, we were 400 before. Sacramento is up to about much higher than the U.S. average. I guess they're probably like 350, 400, and we're at 200. So Sacramento's got like about twice the crime that we do in Boise. Yeah.
So I know Vacaville is small, and I don't know how many of us are from Vacaville. Would our statistics within our city be comparable to that of Idaho, like as far as our crime, or like, because a lot of this is based on Sacramento, which Sacramento has a bigger population.
Right.
What's the comparable?
I would compare. In fact, this is the reason that we moved to Nampa, is because it reminded us so much of Vacaville. We're about the same size now. Nampa might be slightly bigger. But we have a very proactive police force like we did when I lived here in Vacaville. So crime it's there, but it's not a way of life that you experience as just a regular person walking down the street as much. But here in California, even in Vacaville, I mean, you walk around and you see, graffiti all over the place. There's, shopliftings over at Albertsons. Or not Albertsons, well, I'm sure Albertsons too, but Walmart.
As a member of the graffiti task force,
Yeah.
I don't have that much graffiti here.
That's what I would have.
Really? You guys, who did you guys lock up?
there really isn't a lot of
Low
graffiti.
check.
I would think that it's apples to apples almost with Vacaville and Idaho. It's very similar. So I was just wondering, would you say that would be a true statement versus Sacramento, which is, we're not Sacramento.
Exactly. Which is why we love living in Vacaville. If we had to live in California, it would be Vacaville, but there's so many other reasons to live up there.
Very true. Yes, very true. Cost of living, all the other things. Okay.
But yeah, Nampa is a great analogy to Vacaville because it's about the same size. We have the same shopping opportunities. We have a university. I don't think Vacaville has a university, but so we have sort of a kind of a Davis feel with kind of the nice little coffee shops. But other than that, it's very comparable. Except the people are so friendly. And quickly, I'll just tell you, I hadn't seen baggy pants down below the butt for the last how many years until I got to the motel last night. And there's a guy walking across the parking lot. I go, you just don't see that. And we're going to talk about that in just a second. Great segue. So sorry about the jumpiness here, but I just went downtown a week and a half ago to Boise. And I just want to get a feel of the streets. I mean, they're clean. There's not real graffiti, which you probably find in some of the bigger cities. This is our capital city. And here in a second, we're going to turn this corner. And after reading all the stuff that's going on in Sacramento, like tents are popping up everywhere. I mean, there's no tents, there's no poop, there's no heroin needles. It's just a pleasure to walk around down there. Do you guys have those little scooters, Dale?
Not here.
No?
They're
Davis
around.
has them.
Yeah,
Ah.
that and the bikes.
Yeah.
But people are just out having a great time. There's no one harassing them. And they have like their little street markets on Saturday, and yeah, it's very true. In fact, we have a guy that's going to fake you out in a second. See it right there, it says, "Not homeless, I'm a school teacher." Yeah. The weather. So,
Also, I would say that from a weather standpoint, there was somewhat of a perception that Idaho was going to be very cold and snowy, but certainly southwest Idaho has been comparable to Solano County or even northern California in general.
There's not much wind.
Yeah, I mean,
And it gets colder at night, but during the day it's pretty pleasant.
yeah. So the weather has not been an issue for us thus far. I mean, they have all four seasons up here. They have a couple 100-degree days, but they have, high 80s a lot too. So nothing about the weather has been shocking or disquieting.
this is Brian and Carol. They lived over in Fairfield. Now they live up in Nampa. The interesting thing about these guys is they bought a house. They have a 5-car garage now. Their 5-car garage is bigger than their house was in Fairfield. And when they sold their house in Fairfield, they still put extra money in their pocket.
I got a question. Is the garage full of bicycles?
It is full of bicycles. How'd you know? So this is out my front window, and this is just some typical scenes of winter. I mean, this is a couple different years, a couple different months, December, January, whatever. So you wake up in the morning and you find snow, which is kind of peaceful. But by the mid of the same afternoon, it's about 3:30 in the afternoon, same day, it looks like this. And then the same thing on a different day. I think this is a February day. And it's just gone. I mean, you still see it over there where it was shady, but where the sun hit. Another day, and that was kind of a gloomy day, and it still melted. And look at this. This is just like a huge, massive snow, but oh wait, it's later that same day, and it was a gloomy day, and it's all off the roads, all off the sidewalks. So if you're up there and you're tired, great. If you're up there and you got to go to work, just drive normally and carefully, and you'll be just fine. Or maybe call in sick or something, but don't let the weather stop you from moving up there.
I've been told that there's 4 true seasons there. Is that correct?
Oh, absolutely. And they're all mild. Well, I'm glad you mentioned that. So we got snowfall up here. This is from citydata.com. Our average snowfall in the winter is about 6 inches in January. And you saw that one last picture is like 3-4 inches right there, and it was gone that same day. Our average temperatures, say in January again, it's a low of like 23, 24, something like that. And then the high in the afternoon is like 36, 37. So it's not, Vacaville weather, but it's not terrible at all. I mean, you put on your coat, which is great if you're fat like me, because you can put on those coats and nobody knows how really fat you are.
It's a dry cold, though. When we were up there and it was in the 20s, we took our coats off. It was just too hot to take them warm.
There you go. And then the summertime, it says 90 in the middle of summer for us. We will have a couple, triple-digit days, but it's not like all the time. And then it cools down at night, down to like 60. So it's very pleasant.
I miss the
Yeah?
cooling at night. The
Right.
cooling, like, it's one thing to have a hot day, but
And we have tons of sunshine, like 261 some days of sunshine a year on average. And then, for those of you who have been living in Vacaville way too long, you might not even know what humidity is all about. But you can see in the middle of summer, we have very low humidity. And so what is humidity all about?
Oh no.
Look who it is! Hey, buddy! How's it going?
I need to take another shower.
Yeah, that's my little gift to you. Good morning! You know what you need. A makeover. You know what I haven't seen in a while? Frost. I'm serious, like every day for a whole month, and then boom, she's gone. Hey, what's the deal with that? Okay, all right. Have a great day.
As usual, we'll have a 20% chance of precipitation with a low of upper 70s and a high of 96 today. And apparently it feels like temperature of 106. 116? Come on, man!
Connie, I gotta find my wallet! Coming!
Hey! You left the window open! It's so dry in here. Hey, I can help with that. There we go. This'll help.
I packed all your favorites. I can't wait. I'm starving.
Ooh, a picnic in the summer. Y'all shouldn't have. Oh, sandwiches.
Maybe I shouldn't have used paper towels. It's okay. The chips should still be fine.
Wait, allow me.
Is it already stale?
Well, the rain finally stopped.
Yeah, it should feel a lot nicer out there now.
You're not from around here, are you?
No, why?
Hey, y'all come on out. It's a party now. Do it, 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 do it.
Renaissance Bank, the best bank in the South. Visit renaissancebank.com to learn
If you've
more.
never been down there, you know what that means. This is
What's that amount? I can't see.
July 21st, 3:09 in the afternoon, 92 degrees, 16% humidity. It feels so nice. You probably saw, usually we keep around 66, 67 inside the house just because that's what we like. And so my electric bill, July was 54, August was 85, and my gas bill was 17. So you add those together, I'm running about $100 a month. That'd be like your PG&E bill. I don't know what anybody got any PG&E bills about $100 a month?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Solar? First 15 minutes of the month.
Oh. So it is really nice. Culture, welcoming attitudes, but we do emphasize personal responsibility, and will it change? Channel 7 set out recently, it's out of Boise, to show that Californians are making Idaho more liberal. Well, it turned out what they found, yes, there's some more Democrats, but there's a ton more Republicans. So if you equate Republicans to being conservative, whatever that means, the state is not turning, the direction that California's been going. So don't worry about coming up there and finding a place that you had just left. I've had people ask about this, so I thought I'd throw this in. Immunization requirements for your kids for school. The big operative line starts right here. Parents may also claim a school immunization exemption by providing a signed written statement to school officials. And some lady had done that recently on like a napkin or something and sent it into school, and they gave her a big headache, and they took it to court, and the court found, that just means she wrote it down, didn't say what she has to write it on, and so her kids can be exempt because the mom said so. concealed weapons, and it applies to all weapons. So starting before July 1st, 2019, there was a difference between what you were between the age of 18 and 21 and then over 21. They just kind of align that. So now everything applies all the way down to the age of 18. If you are not intoxicated or a felon or something like that has a reason that you can't have a gun, then you can have a gun. And you can have it concealed, you can have it open, you can have it wherever you go. Recently, some people got all worked up because someone had a open carry and they had gone to the state fair.
Yeah, I saw that video.
And they took it to court and they came out and said, no, look, the guy's got every right to have it. And, maybe it's a good thing because something stupid happens. Maybe he can save your life. And so of course, there's places like, the federal building, something like that, the airport, you can't have guns. But everywhere else, it's the same with motorcycles, helmets. If you drive a motorcycle and you want to wear a helmet, you wear it. If you drive a motorcycle and you don't, you don't. And and it's right now it's like that with cell phones too. It's like if you're out there in the middle, like on Twin Falls, there's nothing out there for miles and miles, and you want to pick up your cell phone and call whoever, you're not going to get busted for it. But there again, it's personal responsibility. They do have laws against distracted driving. So if you're texting or on your cell phone or something and you cause a wreck, it's on you.
Well, that's for Meridian. They're talking about changing that one. Saw that in the newspaper.
We need some more conservatives up there, don't we? Let's get up there. Hi, Candy.
Hi.
Hey, so you guys came up from California a couple of years ago, right?
Yes, 2 years in October.
Right. Well, now that you've been here, how are you finding Idaho?
We love it. We absolutely love it. Now we just consider it our home. We wouldn't go back to California or anywhere.
And you said once in a while you do go back to California?
We do. We go back to visit, and it's a really odd feeling. Like I don't feel comfortable. My head's on a swivel. I'm not comfortable there anymore.
Yeah. So Idaho is your new home.
Idaho is our new home forever.
And have you had any of the native Idahoans, I don't know, give you any bad looks or anything?
No, because we changed our plates as soon as we got here.
Oh, so cool.
So now we're one of them.
All right. And cost of living's a little bit cheaper?
Yes, quite a bit cheaper.
Nice.
Yeah, quite a bit cheaper.
And then obviously when your family came up, your husband and your son, they needed to get jobs. How did that go?
They got jobs immediately.
Yeah?
I mean, my husband got a job the 2 days after we got here, 3 days after we got here. He went to orientation. And I think my son, the same thing, went to orientation just a couple days after we got here, and they've been working ever since.
And so can you, make a living on what you get paid up in Idaho?
Absolutely. I am now, back in California, I worked full-time, my husband worked full-time, and we were able to make ends meet. Now I'm a stay-at-home grandma, and I watch my 5 grandbabies, and my husband goes to work, and we're able to make ends meet.
Nice. Any final thoughts before we let you go?
If you're thinking about moving to Idaho because you don't want to be in the California way, then come on up because this is so different and so much better.
All right. Thank you so much, Candy.
Thank you.
Bye. Can you give our California viewers an idea of, is it different here? Do we still have a chance here? Is there a way that they can make a difference if they come here?
The answer to that is, and I'll have to say this again, we are one of the last places of freedom, I believe, left in the country. Now, I haven't been to other places in the country, but I do pay attention to current events, and I know what's going on in a lot of other states. I do travel the state of Idaho. I am privy to information that not too many people are privy to because I get to talk with people one-on-one that are more open, and the fact that they share some of their heart about some of the things that are going on because they don't have a newspaper or a media source. People being harassed by certain bureaucrats and things of that nature. And so the one thing that I'll tell anybody from California is that if you're going to come here, I would almost require, if I could, and this is only for those obviously that wish to be able to try to keep Idaho for what it is. You have to try to identify what you believe Idaho really is. If you're going to go so far as to say conservative, that's not enough. because you have to define what conservative is. Do you have an adherence to the Constitution? Do you want to adhere to the Constitution as a living, breathing document as the liberals want to do it, or do you want to try to understand what our founding fathers were talking about? Are you willing to be able to learn about the unintended consequences of even giving the government an inch, much less a mile, allowing them to be able to do things beyond what they were supposed to be doing? It's going to take eternal vigilance. Jefferson, right? He said that it takes eternal vigilance, and he meant it. It means that you need to be engaged every day. I don't care how busy you are. You got 2 jobs. You're an American. You're going to enjoy our freedom. You're going to sit there and enjoy freedom of speech. You're going to enjoy your right to bear arms. You're going to enjoy all those things. Understand why you have those rights. There is more to it than just coming here and calling yourself a conservative, because you can just jump on the establishment train and be so compartmentalized in your thinking that you think as long as you have that this state is red, that's kind of an interesting historical color anyway, then you're not part of what is going to keep Idaho what it has been. And so there is a chance, but you need to be active. I had reached out to people on Facebook. I have a website. I mean, if you need to be directed somewhere and you have a hot button issue, whether it's environmentalism, whether it's abortion, whether it's, you want to study law, you want to be involved in something fighting the Article 5 convention, you want to do Constitution classes, you want to do videos in your community, you want me to come speak, I mean, I'll go wherever. If you're capable of speaking and you want to speak, I will do my best to be able to put information in front of you, to be able to put you out there so that somehow you may be heard and you might be able to take the baton farther than I can. I'm as active as I can possibly be every day. And it's not about trying to bring attention to myself. It's about telling people about what's going on, because I'm worried about my country, I'm worried about my state, I'm worried about my neighbors, and I'm worried about our future. When we have families that I talk to, and I ask them, why they're not active and are they not aware that it's going to affect their future generations, and they say to me, let them figure it out. We had to. That's a pretty scary place in America, because one of our founding principles is the fact that we have always laid down our lives and made those sacrifices for future generations. And when that stops, the perpetual freedom that we could be enjoying also stops.
And I guess his big thing there is that don't come up to Idaho and just sit back and enjoy, like I did my first year, to decompress. Do that, but then get in there to make sure that things don't change that makes Idaho another California. Get involved, stay involved. There we go. Homes. One of the things we'll be talking about is the market dynamic sheets that hopefully everyone has, and if you don't, we've got a stack of them up front. This is something that Keller Williams puts out for us, and they have an economist from Boise State that goes through these numbers every month, and there's some good things. But first, back to they're always changing the score on this, 5,500, that's 3,000 over there. But anyway, the bottom line for this slide, even though it's outdated, like we said before, real estate's always outdated. Homes are going for like $219 in Boise and $270 or so in Sacramento. So we're still quite a bit cheaper, and it's just, I know it's not current, but it's just still, it's apples to apples is what we're comparing. Anyway, so here's that market dynamics. There's a lot of information on here. One of the things, this is Ada County. So remember, this is Boise, this is Meridian, this is more expensive. They had appreciation in homes last year of 16.9%, and so far in 2019, they're up to 7.3%. Some things to notice is the CDOM, that's the cumulative days on the market. So how long did your house sit on the market before someone came and put an accepted offer on it? And you can see over there that we're running about 2 weeks to 3 weeks for the sweet spot. The price ranges are over here, and it's this is pretty much the sweet spot right there. This inventory, that's how long it takes for the current amount of houses on the market to go if there was no new houses introduced to the market. So we're saying 0.3 of a month. That's, I don't know, what, a week? And then all the houses in that price range would be gone. 0.4. So basically, in the sweet spot, where the basic 3-bedroom, 2-bath, it's gone just like that. So the market is just really. And then one other thing too is that this is the sold to the original asking price ratio over there, and we're looking at 99.7, 98.7. We're basically, what the asking price is what people are paying for it.
How fast are you building new homes? We're putting in thousands here.
The last I heard was that they were something like 8,000 behind, but they were pouring foundations as fast as they could to try to gain traction. And we're going to come across a slide here in just a little bit that shows exactly how far we are behind. But yeah, construction's huge. They're building like crazy. They're just not building fast enough.
Commercial construction, when I was up there at Christmas time, you couldn't drive down the street, areas that just a few weeks before, months before, had been vacant lots are building up with all kinds of commercial business.
Absolutely true.
And that's
Sounds
jobs.
like Vacaville.
That's jobs.
Would you say that they are equally doing schools and parks, or is it, because here, unfortunately, we aren't able to build the schools or the parks that go with the neighborhoods. So we're building homes, we just don't have everything else to go with it. So are they equally
Absolutely
adding the homes and the schools?
Yep, they're. I just heard a presentation by the Valley View School District. No, I'm sorry, West Ada School District, and he was talking about the new high schools. It's like every area where they're building new houses, they're putting in, just as a matter of routine, the elementary schools. And so they are putting in the schools, and they're putting in the infrastructure. They're putting in the roads and the sewers, and some of the roads that have traditionally been like little 2-lane, it used to be just little farm roads, that they are now working on making those 2 lanes each direction, and the turn lanes, and so you can get across the valley.
Sounds like you're making it a little California.
Yeah.
Well, we'll get to that in just a second. Hang in there. Remember, we had the population per square mile earlier, and we're like 1/5 of the people per square mile.
I play with numbers. Numbers can tell you whatever.
Lies, damn lies, and statistics. So now we're to Canyon County. Last year was 19.1, and so far this year we're 8.8. So you can see Canyon County's even hotter than Ada County, and that's because our prices are lower. Like I said, you could buy almost the same house over in Caldwell compared to Boise for about $100,000 less. Our days on the market are very similar. Our inventory is very similar, and our asking price to sold price is very similar. So, and I bring that up because in a little bit we're going to talk about reality. But I mean, look at this. This is over 1% appreciation. I had an appraiser come out and do a house. He goes, "Well, your house didn't appraise." And I said, "Well, it was a new job, a new build job," and he came out and I said, "Well, according to my figures, it should have." He goes, "Well, yeah, but like 3,000 low." I said, "Yeah, but you did that 3 months ago, and it's gone up 1% every month." And he goes, "Well, show me the proof," and I did, and then, of course, then it came in higher than the asking price or the selling price. Treasure Valley housing crisis back in July, Channel 7 said that we're like 19,000 behind, and we need that in another 18 months. So yeah, they're just building them like crazy, but they're doing them smart. They're not. I know you have the subdivisions, but they're not all this stack and pack housing like you see around here, 0 lot lines and stuff like that. You're going to find some that have smaller lots, but there's still, lots that you have, maybe it's like, 0.13 or 0.15 of an acre, but still, where you can have 3 kids and a dog and a backyard and they can play, and they have the neighborhood park, elementary schools down the block. It's that kind of housing that they're building. And they're also building some nicer, more exclusive, more executive type houses too. So now we've asked ourselves, quality of life matter? Yes. Do you have a reason to move? I guess you have to answer that. Is Idaho in the contention for a place you might want to go to? I would say yeah, but are you ready to start your plan now? Yay, let me help you with that. What about your current home? So I work with trusted partners. So if you're down here, I work with a trusted partner. In this case, it's going to be Andrew. And he's going to come out to your house, and he's going to be very blunt and honest with you on what it takes to get your house sold in the time frame that you need it sold for the price that you need it sold. And it is so nice working with people, especially within the Keller Williams family, because it's kind of like an insurance to make sure you get to the closing table on your house up there. Everything down here closes the way it's supposed to. Everything, the timing works out, and it's just a pleasure. That also works quite the same with lenders. I don't know why people say, well, I know someone that knows someone that's a lender in Southern California. I'll have them work on my Idaho house. True story. And it's like we're still looking out to make sure nothing falls through the cracks, but still, we get to closing table, it's like, well, where's this? Where's that number? That didn't work out. And it's just so frustrating. And there's times when things fall apart. Just a couple days ago, I heard of one that was a lady I was working with on another deal, but so they get to the closing table, and the buyer, nice guy and everything, he ends up having 2 Social Security numbers. So it's like, was he the victim of fraud or something? And whatever it was going to take the IRS to get involved. So Security Administration is going to take at least a month. And here's the seller trying to sell his house. So they just, canceled the deal. And the guy didn't get to buy his dream house. The seller has to, wait another month or month and a half to sell his house. So that's what's nice about working with trusted partners, is that these things don't happen as often. Okay, what about financing? Oh, it's kind of the same thing. I work with trusted lenders, and I have one that I really, really like, and she sat down with an interview, and I think she might have some advice that could help you out.
What kind of offer, when you go into looking at a home, what kind of offer is the most appealing to the sellers in this area?
That's a great question. So one of the things that we see a lot is that we know that you, as a brand new person coming into the state, you're probably going to be selling a home and then moving out here to purchase a new home. And a lot of times what you're trying to figure out is, do I sell first and then come out here and buy? Can I do it simultaneously? I know sometimes there's a little bit of a need to feel secure. Okay, I want to make sure I've got a place to live before I sell my house out in California. So there are a couple different ways that you can make that happen. One of the things that is really important when you're in a fast-moving market, like we want to call it here, meaning it's more of a seller's type of market. We have a very little inventory in this area, or multiple offers. It's very attractive for our sellers if you are able to come in with a non-contingent offer. So obviously you want to make sure that you go through this with your real estate agent and talk to them at length about that. But what that means is that your offer that you're putting in is not contingent on you selling your current home. And in some of the ways that you may be able to make that happen would be you can, let's say you have a lot of equity in your home out in California. So you may be able to use that equity now prior to actually selling your property. And the way to do that would be to actually pull a home equity line of credit on your current home and then use that as your down payment in order to purchase your home here in Idaho. Now, obviously, that's individual questions that have to go into that to make sure that you can actually qualify. But a couple keys in order to be able to do that would be, a lot of banks or credit unions won't allow you to have a home equity line or issue that to you if your house is already listed. So you want to make sure that you're thinking about this ahead of time, and you want to be able to pull that equity line prior to listing your home in California.
Well, usually the question that we get asked most is, can I move up there without having another job lined up, or how do we make that work?
Okay, that's a great question. So one of the things that we need to have is we need to be able to use projected income, which is perfectly fine. So what that entails is making sure that you can come out here, go ahead and do an interview process, have an employment letter in place, and that employment letter needs to include the title that you're going to be, your new job, the term of your new job in terms of what your salary will be or what your hourly rate would be, what your start date will be, and it needs to be within a 30-day period of time that you're going to be closing on the loan, and then we can use that as projected income.
All right, there's so many things that go into the whole process of moving. Some people may need to rent for a while. Maybe you're having a house built and it's not quite ready yet. Maybe you need to save up. Maybe you just want to, exactly what we did, we rented for a while because we didn't know exactly where we wanted to live in the valley.
Yes, there are rentals available, but I want people to understand that the rental market here is going to be different than probably what you're used to in California. Because of our rapid growth, it's really unique right now. There is a high demand for housing.
And I know a big issue too is maybe I'm up here for 6 months and I find that perfect house. Am I going to be tied into a lease?
Yes, there are going to be short-term leases available and long-term leases available. The owners know what's going on in the market out here, and so what you can expect with a short-term lease is to pay a slightly higher amount in rent because it's a shorter time frame, but they're also willing to work with you too. And a lot of times you can go month to month after that because they're well aware that you're looking for flexibility because of the housing market. A lot of people are waiting for homes to be built, and sometimes the date isn't precise. I'd like to share a personal experience. I moved here in January of 2018. I bought my first rental property here in February of 2018, and it was $210,000. That property now, only 18 months later, is worth $265,000. So I made a gain of $55,000 in 18 months because of our double-digit growth in our home values here.
So if somebody waits a year and a half, they'd be paying about that much more.
Yes, I believe if you can think outside the box and find creative ways to purchase now, even though you can't move for 2 or 3 years, you're going to be thanking your future self that you made that decision.
Money?
Well, what's going on with California right now, especially with the politics and tenant rights, there is a lot of bad feelings about what's happening to property investors. And they are looking to get out of California just as much as people are looking to move out of California. So they can do a 1031 exchange and transfer up here and get into a market where we are experiencing double-digit growth and not have any tax consequence because of that.
What is the typical, like...
Yes, there are rentals available, but I want people... Yes, there are rentals.
What does the typical rent look like? Like if for 3-2
in Nampa, which is very similar to Vacaville, a brand new 3-2 house, say 1,600 square feet, is going to go for around $14 to $15.25 a month. You can get older, junkier houses, and it's still going to be kind of strong rents, but it's going to be, at least $1,000, maybe $1,200. And if you do have people that are interested in buying, maybe a 1031 exchange, I have people in my Keller Williams office that specialize in multi-unit family things, and they have asked me to bring some flyers I've set out over there too. So if you're interested in that, please check them out. So the home search, so one of the most important things is to come up there and check the area out yourself. Some people do come up there and buy sight unseen, but you really want to go, especially if you're going to be living there. If you're an investor, it's a completely different thing. It's all about numbers. If you're going to live out the rest of your life up in this beautiful place of Idaho, come up there and check it out in person. And I'll spend an afternoon and we'll go around and you guys can buy me lunch or whatever. Review the relocation guides. And I have that in a PDF format. The links are on that information sheet. And you can take that and send that to friends, family, people that maybe you want to plant that seed because when they go, you'd be happy to follow them up there. Start your internet search for homes at treasurevalleydave.com. That's me. And from there, we have a great, powerful search engine that's tied into the MLS, so you get accurate stuff. It's amazing the number of people that will contact me. They found this house on Zillow, maybe it's a foreclosure on Zillow, and say, oh wow, I'm excited about this. This is so cheap. And of course, Zillow is like 6 months, 2 years out of date. So, when you get serious about looking for houses, use treasurevalleydave.com, and then you'll know it's accurate. And then also talk with your Idaho connection again. That's me. Maybe new construction is something to think about. Like I say, new construction is really saving our bacon up there because we don't have enough existing houses to list. So it's new construction that a lot of people are going to. And existing homes are selling for about 97, 96, 98% of what new homes are going for. So it's not much of a stretch to get a nice new home.
Well, we do have a lot of options up here in the Treasure Valley. You can have a custom home on acreage. We can get the tract homes, like you mentioned, really affordable subdivision pricing. We also have downtown and metro space new construction as far as condos, higher density living, but you're in the lifestyle of, say, the downtown core metro space in Boise.
Let's say I don't have quite the time and quite the budget that it takes to have that brand new custom home built. Is there something like a semi-custom alternative, maybe a builder that has plans I can look at and pick out my own finishes?
There's a lot of options as far as an a la carte menu with builders, so you can certainly pick through a spec home that might be under construction. You could still possibly pick some colors and materials and customize it. So as you mentioned, semi-custom, that is an option. There are spec homes that are already completed, so we can just show you what's available that's under construction, or to be built or finished, and go that route if you didn't want to do a full custom build job. And even then, the build jobs, they're not quite as complicated as most people might think. And even if you're out of state, it is certainly best to come up in person a couple different times during the process if possible. But we can go to the builder showrooms, we can get with their designers, we can look at a lot of the options again through a FaceTime or Skype or some online video conferencing, so as if you were here.
Right.
But at the end of the day, a CBH home is very affordable, yet you're still getting quality with it. And you can buy a CBH home here in the Valley for as low as under $300,000, if you can believe that, if you're from out of state, right?
Brand new home.
Brand new home, where it's double that at least in a lot of the major markets.
Yeah.
Right. And so so we can do very affordable homes in the $250,000 to $300,000 range, starting up to about $400,000 to $500,000 on the high end for one of the larger tract builders like a CBH Homes. We do have Toll Brothers up here, which is Coleman Homes in the area. There are some other large national builders here, and so our valley's blowing up. The bullseye is on Boise. It seems like everybody wants to come here. I've been in the business since 1998 here in the Treasure Valley, so experienced a lot of the ebb and flow of our market. But it's I've never seen, I call it a tsunami or a wave of folks from California. It's just, and most of our clients say, we ask them, why are you moving up here? They pause and say, well, we have to. Yeah. We can't wait to leave. We have to get up there. So we love it in the great state of Idaho. We're certainly blessed.
So reality sets in. So you decided to move up there. You're starting the process. You want to be prepared. It's a very, very competitive market for buyers up there. Have your financial plan figured out. Talk with your lender. Talk with my lender. Get your plan sorted out. Get pre-approved for what your budget's going to be. Figure out what your earnest money is going to be, and figure out how you can have the fewest possible contingencies. That way, when you go in there, you have the best looking offer possible. Typically, people come up there and they have this learning curve, and they are going to get beat out. Almost everything's multiple offers up there. And you're going to get beat out the first 5, 6, 7 times until reality starts to sink in and go, yeah, I can't come up there and lowball. You'd be surprised how many people want to do that. And I just showed you it's like 97 to 99% asking price to the sell price. It's just people are getting their price. Know what you want and know what you need. So it's such a competitive market. You might have your heart set on particular things, all these particular things in your house, but you may not be able to get all of those things. So find out what's really important to you and what are just kind of nice things to have. Maybe there's some things that you can put in later, like you put a pool in later or something like that. We don't have a lot of pools up there, but we do have some. Then make the strongest possible offer. So, and that's not just money. And oftentimes we get into those especially in that sweet spot when you get to the higher price, it's not quite the same, but we're in that sweet spot of that you can see on the market dynamic charts. It's multiple offers every time. Plan on coming in over asking, especially if you really, really want the house. Make the strongest offer possible. Have eliminated those different contingencies. Like Jill was saying, maybe you can have that home equity line so you can buy your house up there outright, and then when your house sells down here, you can pay it off. And that kind of eases up the pressure on the moving too, where you have to like move in a weekend. It gives you time to make it all happen. So then your offer gets accepted, and then our team jumps in. What does that mean? And so these are all people on my team. These are other agents. So when I get 5 or 6 Californians up on a weekend and I need help with showing, I can rely upon these guys. These are our sales managers. These, you guys met Mike. He's been in the business since '98. These are our admin people. These are our transaction coordinators. So we have all this support behind you with the goal of getting you to closing on your brand new house with the fewest possible problems. And there's always a hiccup of some kind, but reality sets in 2.0. Everything works as planned, right? Well, not always in real estate. Expect the unexpected. Mitigate things that you can. Have a plan B. I told you about the guy that got to the closing table, had the 2 social security numbers. That's going to be a hard one to have a plan B for, because there's things that normally come up that, we can kind of say, oh yeah, make sure you do this. Don't go out and buy furniture a week before closing to put in your new house, because you may not have a new house, and that happens. And so just expect the unexpected and be prepared for it. What if you don't even try? So if you like what California's been giving you, and if you think your future self, your future generations are going to be happy with that, great. Maybe California is the best place to stay. But if you're not happy with California, and I personally went through that, then relocating might be the best thing. And if it is, then Idaho might be a choice you need to consider. A better quality of life, no question mark this time. And I guess we can have questions. Tammy, did you get those copies made so we can have the floor? Did everybody get signed up for the drawing after a bit? Did you put my name in there too? Just kidding. All right. Any questions? I know we went over a lot, but I'm sure I missed a lot too. Sir, in the back.
Dave, how about the help of city government as far as how they're doing? I know we have some issues here. I'm sure you're aware of them too.
I am. I don't know if you saw this or not, but recently, I think it was Wallet Hub came out and said that Nampa, the city I live in, is the best run city in the entire United States.
No, I didn't see that.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And so it's
less than that, I think.
And so and I've been seeing, I get the emails from the Tea Party down here, and there's some shenanigans apparently going on in the Vacaville area, and I have friends that are kind of keeping their eye on what goes on in Solano County. And when I was here, I thought the city of Vacaville was actually really pretty well run. But it sounds like things have changed since the old people have gone, and maybe there's new people in there that aren't quite as, fiscally adept. But I'm really happy with what's going on up there.
In other words, you don't have a huge unfunded liability for pensions and retirement and such going forward. That's the issue.
That's the issue.
Yeah. And that's an issue you hear about California all the time. I've never heard that up there. And I do know that our cities are, very proactive. Like I said, we're putting in streets, schools, infrastructure, and we do that to try to stay ahead of this mass. This mass is kind of really overwhelming us, but the stuff that they started doing before, we're really, it's a good thing that we are as far ahead as we are.
What do taxes look like?
Property taxes?
State taxes.
I think it's, somebody has information. Do you have information on that?
Not really, because we're looking at retirement taxes. So our taxes are definitely going down whether we stay or whether we go. We're gone. But no, in doing my research, they were lower, especially when you're retired.
Right.
They don't tax your retirement, so your Social Security benefits and things like that.
Very nice. I think regular taxes
don't, but California definitely does.
You know, they're just like on regular income taxes. It's on a scale, and I don't know. It's
I just didn't know if it was how it compared to California.
The property taxes are the same, or a similar rate. Depends on the county though, but based on the value, you don't have Proposition 13, but they don't raise them. You know, reassess it. So they're not brutal about the reassessment. I've noticed that.
And with the property taxes, it is based on the value. And actually, there's been a couple communities that have actually lowered taxes, but because values have gone up, your taxes have gone up.
They have a heck of a homestead exemption. If they're your first $100,000, it's qualifying, it's exempt.
Exactly. So if you have a $200,000 house, first $100,000 comes off, you're paying taxes on a $100,000 house.
Right. Is that a big complaint of the residents of Idaho, that people like coming from California and then their property taxes is going to be reassessed, and because of the value, they're just keep there you go.
Yeah, they complain about that.
That and they say we don't use our blinkers.
That's probably true.
It probably is true.
That's probably not untrue.
Everybody owns it.
If we use our blinkers here, we can't get in the spot we want to get into.
Well, I noticed too, the cars here in California, that's an option that nobody buys. So it's not like it's really our fault. It's just we didn't buy it.
Just didn't buy the upgrade.
Yeah.
And then also, they do tax groceries, but then there's when you file your state taxes, there's a big, for every head in your household, there's a big amount of money that gets whacked off of that. So even if you don't owe money, they still send you money back. So I've never had to pay to the state. Considering that, they always send me a check because, I don't know, we've got a big family and it's kind of nice. Any other questions? Yeah.
There's another big issue that we're having here, and we've been coming for a long time. Water. Talk about water, Dave.
We've got water for days. We've got all those rivers. We've got all those dams. So in most places in the Treasure Valley, I live in just a regular subdivision, we have two sources of water. One for your house, just like normal, and then the other one we have irrigation water. And that's just piped up to your house. It's a flat rate. I think last year it was $128, unmetered. That's it for the entire year. Water. You can fill up your pool. It's not drinkable, but it's just unlimited water. So everywhere you go in the valley, everything is just absolutely green. We have thousands of miles worth of canals throughout the valley that have been there for...
Walking around at one of those new homes, do not step on the grass. You'll sink to your knees.
Oh, that's true.
Water the heck out of it.
Yeah.
I know.
And then, of course, the water gives us the hydroelectric, which gives us the very low electric rates.
They have a lot of aquifers there, too. In fact, before I moved, they found one of the largest aquifers in the state, brand new one.
Yeah.
So Idaho is... The area where you are is a high desert, about 2,500 feet going from Boise, Nampa, Caldwell, what have you. But underneath that is a lot of water. My daughter-in-law said they were digging a basement for a building in Boise and they cracked something open and they had to fix it before they could finish building the building because the water was there.
Yep.
They have artesian water up there.
Yeah.
And in downtown Boise and to the south, we have geothermal. So there's a hot springs, and it's just these pipes are plumbed to these houses that have been there for 80, 100 years, and that's how they heat they just turn the valve open and the natural hot water. And they also have some of the sidewalks downtown Boise. They have this heat underneath them, and they just turn it on, and it melts the snow away. And it's like, these guys are so forward thinking back then. Yes, you in the back.
So an average winter, how many snowfalls will you get? You showed us the pictures.
About 4 to 6.
Right, and it'll be there for a day and it melts, and it only does that 5 or 6 times.
Yeah, but a few years ago we had Snowmageddon, which was the worst winter across the entire Midwest, and we had more snow than we'd had in like a century or so. But we got through it, and it was, we probably had that much snow in Nampa. So it's like, no big deal. We just kind of rolled with it, but that was the only time, it's the first time it happened in a century, and it's like, yeah, I can live with that, because now we're good for like another 96 years. Anything else? I'll be glad to stay all night, especially if you guys are buying.
Oh, when you go up there and get on the freeway, chill. Just chill.
Yeah.
I'm a retired law enforcement. I'm a super aggressive driver, and you learn to whoa. Just sit back, chill. It takes a few days.
Yeah.
It takes a few days, and nobody's in a hurry up there. There's an occasional
California.
and they blow by, and you need to know that when you're on the interstate or any multi-lane highway up there, now they got a law. If you're staying in the left lane like an idiot, you're going to get a ticket.
Yeah, that's true. Impeding traffic.
You're going to get a ticket. You made a pretty one. It's about $500.
And speaking of traffic, a couple things. One is, so you know when you come up to a bigger intersection and you're on one lane going this way, then another lane opens up, and then once you get through the intersection, it goes from 2 back down to 1, right? So in California, everybody kind of zips over there so they can beat out this guy. And up there, everybody stays in this lane. Nobody comes over to that one because, well, what if somebody needs to go up there and make a right turn? They just don't do it.
And I love the blinking yellow lights.
That's the next thing. So you come up to a light, you want to turn left. Here in California, it's red, and you just got to wait a whole cycle. Up there, it blinks and orange or yellow, and if no one's coming, you just go. I mean, you just get on with your day.
Sounds very civilized.
It is pretty nice. All right. Well, thank you, guys. Anything else, you just let me know.